Hello there and welcome back. You're with Ian with my podcast Living with Mitochondria Against All Odds. I'm calling it that because it's in relation to my book, my autobiography, Living with Mitochondria Against All Odds. And I'll get back to what I was talking to in a minute about the skiing trip to Andora. Just to recap what I'd said at the beginning of the last podcast, I am climbing Snowdon in a few months' time with a group, and I'll probably refer to this over the next few podcasts before it actually goes ahead. So anyway, going back to our trip in Andorra, as I say, I was asked to ski with a different instructor one of the days, which I did do, because otherwise I'd have had to have skied in the afternoon. Now, at the beginning of this holiday, I realised that because it was my third trip with DSUK and I knew the procedure by now, and I realised we were a couple of sit skiers down because they had cancelled at the last minute, and then so I turned around and said, well, if there's an extra skiing session going, can I do mine at the beginning of the week? Now I said this because as any able-bodied person will tell you, or anyone will tell you, if you've got like 2 or 3 days of like lots of things happening, you're going to have the most energy on the first day. So I turned around and said, well, and I'm worse than an able-bodied person because of my energy. So I turned around and said, if there's any extra skiing sessions going, can I have mine in the first couple of days? Which is what happened. So on that day, the skiing instructor Scott, who skied with me most of the week, and we had the two help. As I was saying before, on a DSUK holiday, you have so many helpers. So we had the same two helpers in the morning as to the afternoon. So what we did is we had our lunch a bit later, and we went off piste. We went somewhere else for our lunch because everyone usually congregated in the same area at the same time on each day. So me, Scott, I think it was Nick, and I can't remember who else was with us. We went and we had our. Nick was one of the helpers, and I can't remember the other helper that was with us that day. And we went elsewhere for our lunch, which was great, and somewhere different, and yeah, that was really good. As I say, when I ski, I use a Bionic, and I used what they called handheld riggers. They look like skis at the top. No, they look like crutches at the top. Sorry, and but they've got like skis at the bottom that go in the snow, and that helps you ski. And then the instructor holds onto a tether behind, called a rope called a tether, and that they can break and let you go. And because I remember on my first ever skiing trip, I mastered the art of scratching my nose while being able to stand up on one ski it was quite a procedure. But yeah, um, and as I was saying before, it was quite a big hotel that we stayed in, and the helpers came in really useful to kind of take you around the hotel, because I wasn't 100% sure of any of the routes, because it was such a big hotel and there was only a few days to learn it all. On this particular week, I shared with James. We had about 2 or 3 different rooms that week. As I say, the first one I pulled the handrail off the side of the wall. The second room, there was water coming in our bathroom from the room above, and then so we got a third room. And as I say, luckily with having helpers there all the time, they helped move our belongings from one place to the other. And on most evenings we went out for a drink or two, and I remember there was a cable car to get to where the ski slopes were, and you had to get on this on the morning and then come back at lunchtime, or after you'd had lunch, come back, and then I believe so many others would be skiing in the afternoon. And after this trip, I got my friends to meet me at the airport, and we went to Wembley. As you'll have seen from the book, or if you haven't read the book yet, please go and buy a copy and read it. You'll see from the book I'm a big Liverpool fan. So when we got back to England, we went straight to Wembley. 2 of my friends met me, and I had tickets for the Carling Cup final, or I can't remember who the sponsors were back then. It was the League Cup final anyway, and unfortunately we lost against Manchester City, but I was really, really tired during the game and on the way home. I remember nearly falling asleep in my KFC when we stopped for a bite to eat on the way back from London, and keep falling asleep in the front of the car with my coffee in my hand. And so please tune in again. I'll be doing another third piece of this podcast in a few minutes, because we're nearly at the end of this one. So please tune in, and so I'll hopefully speak to you very soon. Goodbye.